Welcome to the Steve and Bobby Show. My name is Steve Williams, and Bobby Bliatu is next to me today. Welcome, everybody. We are going to discuss the infamous Trump and some of the issues he seems to be having overseas. So I kind of want to touch on this little subject because this seems to be Trump don't seem to be very popular overseas.
He's popular. Hated.
And there's actually a lot of research that backs this, so it's not something that we're just saying. No matter where you fall on Trump, if you think Trump is doing the right thing for American businesses and you feel that what he's doing, it's going to be unpopular overseas. So because a lot of these countries, especially U.S. allies, don't like some of the Trump issues or some of the issues that Trump, you know what I'm trying to say here, right? There's a lot of problems with Trump overseas because of business aspects that a lot of Americans and a lot of foreigners don't agree on, right? Some of the trade policies or whatever. So this actually came to fruition. How you say that word?
Fruition.
That one. It came to that. Last week, I think it was last Saturday.
Right. We all seen it, but it's good to explain it, show it again, and live in that moment.
And see the reality of it. And we actually have a video of, this was at the Munich Security Conference in Germany. Right. And Pence was there, Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence was there. And he had kind of a cool reception, and we have a video on it. So let's check out the video, and you'll see what we're talking about.
To them and to all of you, I bring greetings from a great champion of freedom and of a strong national defense who has worked with these members of Congress to strengthen America's military might and to strengthen the leadership of the free world. I bring greetings from the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
All right, so
what he was waiting for was it didn't come.
And I spared the audience the whole thing. If you watch the whole thing, every the vice presidents, representatives of their government came out, and everybody clapped after every head of nation or head of state. Donald Trump got a very cool reception, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. It's not. I think they hate Trump for different reasons why we hate Trump. So it's not, excuse me, necessarily, it's for different reasons. So here's the funny thing, and that wasn't the only thing.
Let's talk about it real quick,
okay.
though. that's a setup.
Yeah.
What he's doing is to talk great things about Donald Trump,
right.
that he's supposed to get a lot of respect
right.
from these folks. And so you say things and you're going with it, and you're saying yes, and Donald Trump sends his best wishes or whatever, and people are supposed to be, yeah!
Here in the United States they would do that.
Thank you very much. Actually, so here in the United States will they do it? Only if they're paid. But no, he tried to pay 50. They tried to pay 50 cents. Huh? Did you see that one? 50?
No, I
think it is 50 cents.
Huh.
He wanted to pay him a lot of money to come to his inauguration.
Oh, yes,
and he turned it down.
Yes, I do remember that,
trying to get people to show up and to do things. Well, at this place, you're expecting this in your speech.
Right.
You're expecting to have that warm welcome that everybody else is getting, right? And crickets.
Well, I actually watch that whole conference just because there was some really interesting stuff about trade policy, especially. We trade a lot with Germany on a lot of different stuff. And you're going to see here in this next video, I'm not going to put it up yet, but in the next video, the Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, actually went through the trade policies and a lot of the things that they do here in the United States. And Angela Merkel, she has her own issues overseas too, in Germany. She has her problems. Angela Merkel's probably on the opposite spectrum of Donald Trump, but she has her problems there. So I'm not here, promoting Angela Merkel so much. It's just the fact how she breaks this down, and I want you guys to watch this video because this video gives a great example of the things that they're doing in Germany, and what some of the processes that they're doing. Well, let's put the video up. Now, before we do that, let me set it up. So Mike Pence goes up and he has this nice, cool reception. Angela Merkel goes up And of course it's in Germany. So there's a German crowd there. There's international crowd, but there's a German crowd too. So, but Angela Merkel does a wonderful job in breaking the fact of some of the stuff that Germany's doing here in the United States. And she does a wonderful job on that. So check this video out and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Apparently, the American Secretary of Trade says German cars are a threat to America's national security. We're proud of our automotive industry, and I think we can be. We're proud of our cars. They are built in the United States of America. South Carolina is one of the largest, it's actually the largest BMW plant, not in Bavaria. South Carolina is supplying China. So when these cars, because they're built in South Carolina, are not becoming less threatening, rather than the ones that are built in Bavaria, are supposed to be a threat to the national security of America, it's a bit of a shock to us.
No silence there.
No silence.
No silence.
No silence.
She got her applause.
And I love how she did that, where she explained BMW in particular, because BMW is a huge international company. But most of their cars, I didn't even realize this until she mentioned that. I actually had to go Google it. Most of BMWs are made here in the United States. Most of that company's cars, they're not made in Germany, they're actually made here.
Right.
And I didn't realize that in that North Carolina plant. So that was something I had no idea. But it's one of those little things that the Europeans are really good at when they do these public announcements. And even Obama was really good at deciphering nonsense in comparison to rhetoric. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? He's very good because Obama was great at this, of putting the facts out there and you just deal with the facts, whether you like it or not. And I think with Trump and all his rhetorical nonsense that he says out there, some of the stuff that he says, it's crazy. And what it's doing is it's ruining the popularity of the United States overseas.
Right, but people don't understand the reasoning behind things that are happening. So by him placing the tariff, saying it's a national security issue, those things are posing a threat to us. Right. So I'm trying to look at the other side here. What would the other side say to her? Okay. What would the other side say? And it's not so much that the car itself being built is the threat, right? It's where the materials are come from and how it's being purchased and imported and
where the money's
out of
going
here, right?
Probably after.
And so that's what they are saying is the threat. But I don't believe that Donald Trump conveyed that message well enough to everybody. It was just a message of made in the USA, and anything else outside, it's a threat. And he didn't pose that.
So do you think Donald Trump has an argument here?
Do I think he has an argument? There is. And the way he did it, I don't agree with at all. Right. I think things could have been handled much better, okay? I do believe we need to grow our businesses here in America. I do believe we need to do the best that we can to generate a better income for our folks and better opportunity. And now it doesn't all mean in labor and all that other stuff, but when people are stealing our things or undercutting American jobs, then that becomes an issue. That could have been handled differently. Donald Trump could have played a better, had better diplomatic efforts within our own country, within our own folks. He could have handled it so that Ford didn't have to lay off a bunch of people. He could have handled it better for all of these companies. They didn't have to be they didn't have to do the big layoff stuff like General Motors, and it didn't have to happen in the way that it did. And he could have been more diplomatic with the other groups, but instead, he's the kind of guy that says it has to happen now. It has to happen now, and I don't care if people agree.
He wants credit for it, is why.
Well, he wants credit for it. He wants it to be seen that he's actually the one that's like flipping that switch or making something happen, right? I mean, this wall, right? He doesn't want to take the time for America to believe that a wall is needed and necessary, right? So instead, what is he doing? He's saying it's a crisis going on, so he's going to do it.
He's fabricating a story
And so the same thing here is like, I need to do something, and I want this to happen now. I want to lay these tariffs. I don't want to go through the diplomatic, procedures. You know what? I'm just going to say that they're posing a national, security threat to our country. Flip the switch and do it, because that's technically how he can actually do it.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with what he's doing and how he's doing it.
You just believe that he may have an argument in a sense.
In a sense. But what she's saying is absolutely correct. Because like if you're going to say to us and all the other countries that these materials pose a security threat to you, America, you're lying.
Yeah.
Because that same car that we're building here, you were actually building more of ours than anywhere else in your country.
Yeah, in the United States.
So that doesn't make sense,
And
right?
it goes the same with that fight with the Canadians in the steel. Remember, he had that fight, and he had to kind of lax off on that because he said that we were getting too much Canadian steel, was a national threat, and I think he backed off that tariff. I think because with wood, I think we needed wood making furniture. I don't know what the issue there was, but he had to back off on that. And there were some other things I think he did with Mexico and tried to renegotiate the NAFTA deal, which now everybody realizes is not really a renegotiation.
The YMCA?
But the reason why I bring all of this up is because his rhetoric is causing some serious unpopularity of not only America, but American policies. And we actually have a Pew Research, which is based out here. I actually got two different polling data that shows. The first polling data is a Pew Research. Go ahead, let's put that one up. Look at the drop in the year in popularity in 4 of America's largest allies, which is the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and Spain, in Europe. Look at the drop off there. That is insane. I mean, that's like a 54-point drop. That's huge. And then there's another one. Let's do the other polling data and put this up. This is done by a European company of most unpopular leaders in the world. And this is how and now because this is in Europe, so you have Emmanuel Macron, of course, he's having a lot of issues with labor. So of course in Europe, he's going to be huge. But Trump, as you see there at 37%, is very, very unpopular following Theresa May, probably because of Brexit and that issue there. But I mean, the reason why I put those polling data up is because it shows how Donald Trump's rhetoric has damaged American popularity. And I was going to put one up of Obama and his years and how we skyrocketed almost 60% under his presidency. So I didn't want to do that because I don't think it proves anything. It's just I kind of wanted to do the here and now, and seeing just that drop off of just how the world perceives us now. I think it's dangerous.
And I think I can see it now. A lot of people saying, "Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what the other countries think about us? We need to do our own, build a wall around a whole country."
Yeah.
But no, look,
nationalism.
It's not about doing things to get them to like us.
Right.
But what it is about is getting them to be able to come to the table and have diplomatic efforts to go over things that cause a threat to us.
Yeah.
Right? And if they won't come to the table to talk with America because they have no respect for us, then it damages us.
It damages our
and it damages the people who live in this country.
Even for business too. So
for business, for economics, for security, for everything. And we have to have those channels open. And we can't go around thinking that we're the only country in this country and that no other country can damage us in other ways. And it can happen. So we just need to keep some diplomatic efforts there. And we've and that's what these events are for. And if people don't like us, if people don't trust us,
it's going to be hard to negotiate
ruin
deals.
Everything out there.
I think if you're a leader of another country, so I don't know, think you're a leader of Germany, and you got the leader, Angela Merkel, who is consistently talking about U.S. products, U.S., they're thinking about national. Think about how we would look at them. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's the reflection that has. And you brought up a good point, especially with businesses. A lot of people, well, how does that affect me? Well, it affects you in a lot of different ways, and you mentioned a lot of them. But think of the economics of it. Let's just single out the economics. Let's take the political part, the military part out of it. Let's think of economics. We go in there and we try to negotiate a deal, and you're like, hey, your president, doesn't want to deal with us. He only wants to deal with himself. Why would I make a deal with you guys when you have a president that doesn't see things in equal terms?
Right.
And then you have those issues.
Right.
So
it does hurt us a lot. So it's not about, remember, making them like us. It's about treating people fairly and explaining things and communicating things. It's about being a good leader.
Right.
And they see that he's not being a good leader.
So there we are.
Yep.
There we go. Anyway, Thank you guys. Hope you guys catch us on the other side. We are going to be talking about a lot of other different things. So stay in touch with us. The next half we're going to be talking about,
Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar. So stay tuned.
And Kaepernick.
Oh, and Kaepernick.
Please comment, like, share. We'll catch you right after the break.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Steve and Bobby Show. This is Steve once again and my homeboy Bobby Blia too.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back.
Welcome back. So, all right. So let's talk Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who had an issue, who's being accused of being anti-Semitic.
Right.
So this is a touchy subject for some people. So we're going to kind of touch this, and we're going to try to connect things as to why we think the issue of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is not so much about being anti-Semitic or anything, but the powerful PACs that back them,
right,
and the influence that those PACs have.
Right. So we're talking again, basically talking about money in politics. Money in politics. Money in politics to affect legislation, to affect what this country does.
Right.
Right. That's what it comes down to, and I think that's what she was more talking about, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about some quotes, what were kind of wrong, and what we're right with it. And
I think the essence too is the big problem when we have, and we're going to touch on this because this is, I want you guys to, I want the audience to follow us here, because I know, well, why are they talking about money in politics so much so as, why are they not talking about what she said? And we're going to talk about both of them and why they're kind of, there's an issue here of a great example of money in politics and why money has, or why the money in the politics is having more influence than, say, someone like me and you if we have an issue. So let's get as to what happened with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and what she said. So first of all, before that, let's talk about the committee
that she's chair of.
The committee, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, which got on her for some comments that she said. I want you to realize how powerful that particular committee is and why what they said was so important. So let's put the image of the AIPAC. There, okay, there it is right there. Okay, so here you see, and there's a couple numbers there I want you to see. I want you to see the revenue that they generate per year, which is last year I think they did, actually this is 2014. So I guess what do they do it every 5 years? They talk to anyway, however that works.
This will be done every year, but then the one that's posted that was probably the most relevant that was posted on this site here is that number right there.
Which is 77,709,000. Expenses is at 69,267,000. So anybody that doesn't know who the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee is, they don't directly donate to candidates, right? What they do is they actually disperse to PACs that favor whatever their what do you call it?
Right. So it's AIPAC.
Yeah.
But so a lot of people think that because we have termed PAC to mean a political action committee. Mm-hmm. And a political action committee is something where you're actually supporting a candidate or you're supporting a cause within a candidate, for a candidate or for a party. Mm-hmm. Okay, AIPAC is a 501c4 here, which is a group like a union.
Right.
Right. They have a 501c4 section, so they're a nonprofit. They're taking donations for a cause, and they get to speak about public things and stuff like that. Right. So they can donate to political action committees. They can donate to candidates, but more so they are there for a specific purpose. Right. Right.
Which is to represent whatever their cause is.
Right. And that's absolutely fine.
And it's legal.
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
I believe in it,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
I believe in to have the ability to do things for communities for a certain purpose, right? Nonprofits, that's what they do.
Yeah.
A 501c3 nonprofit, like you're thinking of like the Red Cross, you know.
Right.
The only difference between a C4 and a C3 is that a C3 can take donations from people, and when the people donate, it's a tax write-off, right? It's tax deductible. But a C4, it's not tax deductible because a C4 can start to do things that are political.
Yeah.
C3s are prevented from doing things political. Like a church, they can't, endorse
They're
a
supposed to be
candidate.
separate from the political.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So, so we put up the revenue base of the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee and the power that we saw that they have financially. They're huge, okay? They donate to thousands of PACs, because there's literally thousands of PACs that represent Israeli interests here in the United States. Nothing against that, that's fine, because it's completely legal, we discussed that. The thing is when you have PACs that are large to the point to where they're so large, they have more sway and more power than, say, regular American citizens, that's where I seem to have a problem with it. And this is where Citizens United made it practically I guess there's certain, you explained that earlier, there's certain amount of money that you could have and donate to certain parties. So,
Right. So
let's
also get this clear for a lot of folks that, you can't.
Oh, and by the way, Bobby,
Well, I ran for Congress,
so he knows this stuff.
Right. And so, there are a lot of things that I learned through that process as well.
Yeah.
Corporations can't actually donate money.
Right.
So, Chevron can't actually, cut a check to someone running for Congress.
Right.
Right. Because the congressional member can't take money, candidates cannot take money from corporations. You can't. You can take it from individuals, you can take it from sole proprietorships, which is the individual, and you can take it from PACs, political action committees. And political action committees are supposed to, and they report it on a regular basis, who donated money, and they report who they gave that money to. Now, PACs also have a limit to how much they can donate to candidates, right? In different races, so it depends on which race you're in. They have limits. The reason why it's an issue is that because there's so many PACs out there that you have groups like AIPAC or you have groups like Intel or just any big organization, corporation
that are worth tens of millions of dollars,
and they can donate like $10 million to one group, and that group can start donating that to other groups. And you won't know where that money's coming from. Right? So I'll give you an example. I can give you, let's say if you're running for Congress and I give you your $2,700. That's I think that's a limit for each cycle. So I give you $2,700. That's done. But I want to give you like 5,000 more. So maybe I go give it to AIPAC. Which is this group, and now AIPAC takes my donation.
And disperses
there's no
limit.
There's no one's being. It's not being reported that I donated it to them. They take that and donate it to another PAC. That PAC says they got money from AIPAC,
and they support that same
now
candidate.
They give that back to you. That's all this money that's not traceable. Right? It's very hard to follow that money. And when you're a candidate or you've been running for office and you need to raise all this money to run your campaigns and be able to be there to finish the legislation, well, these groups. Why would they give you money? Because you support their cause.
You support their cause. And probably the only way they'll give it to you is if you support that candidate or that particular candidate that supports that cause.
Right.
And I think that was the Citizens United was explicit on the fact that money is free speech. That's basically what that case said. It said that money speaks among itself, I guess, and that the fact that money is free speech, because before it wasn't considered free speech. Money was considered speech of the individual that was giving it. Now money, because now it's unlimited, it's considered just free speech, period.
And so we have issues, like when we talk about all the money, then we'll talk about how much money comes in there. But one of the issues that we also have is, remember, it's not just about donations. I believe Citizens United came out of advertisement, actually. So let's pretend that you're running for office. Okay, right now they have independent expenditures, IEs, and they are unlimited. And a corporation can actually do it. So, Steve, you're running for office. I love everything that you stand for. I've never met you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not running your campaign. right? But I go and I get a whole team and I spend $50 million putting commercial ads,
Yeah.
billboards,
Supporting that
everything,
candidate.
buying signs, everything for that candidate.
Yeah.
My donation at that point is unlimited.
Unlimited. And
Okay.
that's where they, I think
Yes, and
Citizens
so
United-
some of those things are happening where they're, but a lot of times, these companies aren't running the campaign, but they're giving the money to people to run those
So,
campaigns. Okay, and that happens, on all sides, right?
Right.
And
Yeah, everybody's guilty of it, yeah.
and Republicans
Yeah.
and Democrats.
Obama found that
it's
out.
all there, and they're all doing it.
I think Obama in his first term, when he was elected, did no PACs, or he only did unions and something else. I can't
But
remember.
everyone took, because of Citizens United,
But he
everyone's
changed
taking
that
independent expenditures
when
anyways.
he ran the second time. He couldn't compete.
Right.
He had to take that PAC money just because of the way our political system is devised, the way it's worked out.
Right.
So, and I think, and the reason there's a reason why we're saying this, okay? Because now we can go back to
Ilhan?
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and the reason why I think she got more flack than she did. So we're going to put up the first thing. So let's put up her first tweet. Now, this is a tweet that I had problems with. It said, Israel has hypnotized the world, and may Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel. Now, harsh, I think it was pretty harsh. And I explained this even before the show with you. I think she would have been better saying Israeli government has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people. Had she had said that, because I know that's exactly what she meant, because when she was on MSNBC the other day, that's exactly what she said. She just should have said it in the tweet. Now, because you have 150 characters or less, that seems to be a problem. And she should have been more potent on that, because there is a difference between Israeli government and Israeli people. Just like I'm not. So if anybody's watching this outside the United States, I don't represent anything of the Trump administration. He don't represent me. You see what I'm saying? So you see how you can get the two confused? So there's a big difference. The Israeli government right now is really far right, with Benjamin, the prime minister there, whatever they call them, and his belief system is ultra right, and the ultra right for Israel and their belief system. I mean, they're hyper religious. It's a religious state. It is. It's a religious state. It's no different than Saudi Arabia. It's no different than Iran. It's basically the same thing. So when you have a pact that we explained earlier, that we were talking about, right? With the AIPAC pact, APAC.
Not a pack, but a group.
That's just what how they're.
Yeah.
Okay, they jumped on this tweet and they went berserk. And of course, their members went berserk. And of course, the politicians the AIPAC supports went berserk. You see how that worked? And they just pounced on Congresswoman. Because what she's saying in general isn't wrong, but the way she said it was wrong. And then she actually went on another tweet here. Let's do the other tweet. Let's throw the other tweet. Let's see. Many of them truly know this, but don't want to accept it in the same way many Americans knew separate yet equal was immoral, but remained silent until brave few silent no more. They can attack, spin my words, and vilify me, but they cannot succeed in silencing me. So at this point, because I think this tweet was within a few hours, she couldn't understand why people were upset from the first tweet. I do. I understand, because she, like I said, she should have been specific as to what she was saying as in the Israeli government, because that's what she said. She worded it perfectly in her interview, but didn't in the tweet. She didn't. So by that time, she put up another tweet drawing attention to the apartheid Israeli regime. It's far from hating Jews. You're a hateful, sad man. I pray to Allah you get the help you need to find happiness. So in that tweet, she was responding to someone else that was pouncing her of the fact of what she said about the Israeli government. And I think by now she kind of figured out that what the problem was, and she admitted later that I think she ended up having to apologize for that statement, and she went on Rachel Maddow explaining what she actually meant. And see, I think the outcry, because not too many people follow politics, some do, but not so much. They follow the surface of it. and they don't really know who's pulling the strings in the back. Definitely AIPAC was pulling the strings here. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like we said earlier, it's not so much about...
But when you're attacking the Israeli people,
yeah.
and there's a group that's
Yep.
supporting their Israeli ideas and so forth,
Yeah.
they're going to say something.
Yeah.
And that's why, we always have to do the best to watch our words, especially when you're such at a high level
Yeah.
of leadership, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can think when we all got upset at different things that Donald Trump had said,
Yeah.
and if he would have said it differently, we might have accepted it or
Yeah.
held better at it,
Yeah.
like a Muslim ban that
Yeah.
later changed to not being a Muslim ban,
Yeah.
right? So I do take what you say, it is true.
Yeah.
I believe that if she had worded it differently, it might have been taken a little lighter. She's going to get attacked regardless,
Yeah.
okay? By her saying, may Allah.
Yeah. Oh,
okay?
they're not going to like that.
There's a big base there that's going to attack her anyway. right?
Either way.
Right. So she's going to get attacked, but I think, it's all to draw away from the attention.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of other events that have happened that, they're attacking things just to take down what's really supposed to be getting done. And in this particular case, it's to say, hey, there's too much influence in a certain area, and
Yeah.
we need to pay attention to make sure
Yeah.
that we are humane with people.
Yeah.
Where we are, we're treating people fairly and we're protecting people. Because AIPAC was started for a good reason.
Yeah, it
what we
was.
did, what we
Yeah.
are doing, and how we are
Yeah.
there in Israel, and our presence,
Yeah.
we're there for a purpose, and we should not lose sight of the original purpose that we are. And I believe we're seeing that a lot of that is
And-
changing due to money.
Money in
due
politics.
to the influence that some of these groups have.
Yep.
That we're starting to become one-sided and not for all.
Yeah, because think if there was an organization like that could have represented many of the issues with Jewish people in the 1940s, that could have been brought up. That could have been. Nobody knew what was happening. So you're right. It has its purpose, and there's good purpose to some of these organizations, but we can't have unlimited where they're so powerful that they're pushing the influence of the politicians so much that what the politician was trying to say and what she was doing and the response to that are totally and completely different.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
there needs to be an equal side. Anyway, I appreciate you guys doing this segment. We're going to be talking about Kaepernick on the next segment. Meet us on the other side. Welcome everybody back to the Steve and Bobby Show. Bobby again with me, and we are going to talk now about Colin Kaepernick. If y'all don't know who Colin Kaepernick is by now, let me just do a little quick brush. He was a 49er quarterback, went to the Super Bowl I think in 2015, started kneeling in most of his games, and prior to this, Colin Kaepernick was kneeling or was actually sitting on the bench for a whole year before it got noticed. So this is not something that he just did. They thought he started it on that day. I guess somebody saw it somewhere, and they drew a picture of it, and they posted it on a I think it was a military website, and it just went viral on that, and it became it was very popular, and this was in 2016. So Colin Kaepernick, many feel, was blackballed out of the NFL because of his protest about, and if anybody don't know what the actual protest was about, it was a lot of social issues dealing with African Americans, police brutality, income inequality. A lot of that influence came from his girlfriend. I don't know if it's his wife now, but it's his girlfriend. She's a very progressive thinker, activist. She's always been that. She's a model, very smart girl. These were feelings that Kaepernick had always had. And Kaepernick's a local guy. He's from Turlock. And so I followed Kaepernick prior to this, so I know who Kaepernick is. I followed a lot of his. Kaepernick's always been this way. He's always been an activist. It's local. I'm from Atwater, which is down the road from Turlock, where he's from, in the Modesto area. He has always been that way. He's always talked out about social issues. This is nothing new to him. So, and I always hear this where people say, well, why didn't he complain before? He always did. Just nobody was listening until he started kneeling and until he started the protest. Now, and it really wasn't even a big deal until he won the Super Bowl. And then he became his face, his name became recognizable. Not win the Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl. He didn't win. But he became a recognizable name, a household name. People knew who Kaepernick was. He did that famous, he had his little, it was image-wise.
He had a huge platform.
Yeah, he did.
The world was watching,
Yeah.
and everyone knew who he was.
Yep.
And now he's able to be listened to.
Yep.
He has a platform,
Right.
And it comes to the point where do I use his platform?
Yep.
Because he started to lose it.
Yep.
He ended up becoming
Yeah.
a second stringer. He ended up.
Yeah. Well, prior to that, that's a good point. I mean, prior to that, he had a struggling year the following year after the Super Bowl. He struggled for a little while athletically, and there were some issues. And Kaepernick is biracial, so he had a lot of those. I'm biracial too, so you have a lot of struggles with that also, in connecting of who you are, where you come from. And maybe it gave him some time to think. A lot of the issues that he was having on the field, off the field, gave him some time to serenade some of his political issues that he always thought were important to him. And the NFL, I don't know too much what you feel, but I feel that the NFL blackballed him. And he had a case against them. I don't know how much the actual lawsuit was. I know it was a lot. It was substantial. And they just recently came to an agreement to not go further on the case. And there were financial, what do you call that, when you win a lawsuit?
Settlement. Right. So there was a settlement.
Yeah.
For roughly 80 million.
They're saying it's between 60 to 100 million.
Right. So
nobody knows because it's close.
Yeah. It's millions of dollars. It's more than any contract that he would have gotten.
That he would have gotten if he was in the NFL.
Yeah. And
so this is, and real quick, I know you were going to bring up a point, but real quick. The NFL is notorious of going after athletes. If athletes try to sue, they throw everything at them, even if it's something minor and small. They even went after Brady.
Yeah, Deflategate.
Deflategate.
That's right.
Brady sued the NFL for that.
It didn't go nowhere.
Right? Because the NFL threw all their lawyers at him.
Because he cheated. No. You can tell I'm not a Patriots fan. Sorry, guys.
But this shows you, because right now Brady's the NFL. I mean, he's in a very strong franchise. Yes. This shows you that the NFL. It wasn't just about Kaepernick. This was something that the NFL. This is not new. So the NFL will go after you. So for them to come to an agreement like that, Kaepernick had something on the NFL, something about the owners.
Yes.
For this to be. For them to settle like this,
to stop and stay here and not let anything go out. Look, when it comes down to settlement in court cases, right? Because so this whole thing stems, everybody, from me and Steve arguing about whether
we had a big argument about
whether or not Kaepernick won the case. Right? Yes. Coming from a technical perspective, he did not win the case because he didn't carry through.
That's him saying.
But he didn't win in that sense. They settled, and I think if he had gotten closer to the mark that he was going for, he would have won, right? But I also have this other piece too. I mean, it's not just this was not about the NFL. One part is labor. Yeah. Okay. One part is blackballing him because of his free speech, because of him doing, him making a statement. Yeah. Right. Him making an iconic picture of people, in a sense, kneeling to stand up. Yeah. Right. Against police brutality, right? And that's where it's amazing. It's not about race even in this stance. We've seen kids, children, in this last month kneel. Yeah, one got arrested. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a kid in just recently got arrested for not standing for the national anthem in a high school.
In a high school,
and they arrested him for it.
Wow. Well, I think the only one I saw was a Cub Scout. Or doing that and kneeling when they get a pin or something like that. But the point is that he was making a statement, and because he was making that statement, because he was bringing attention to the NFL that wasn't about football, right? And they couldn't get rid of him in a sense because he wasn't doing anything in a sense immoral character, like he didn't beat a woman, he didn't slap or kick like how some folks have been kicked out of the NFL for. Yeah, he practiced free speech. Yeah. And so when he did that, it's with the president of the United States
got into it,
getting in and saying a lot of things. And with managers saying a lot of things, the NFL kind of, you can tell,
They
looked like they were
blackballed
blackballing him. Like, I don't want that guy on my team. I don't want that guy on my team.
And to prove that is that his quarterback rating was like 6 in the NFL. So even though he wasn't doing that well with the 49ers, he still had a quarterback rating that was rated 6 within the NFL of all quarterbacks. How many teams are in the NFL? 26, 28 teams?
Right.
And how many quarterbacks in those teams? How many quarterbacks they have? 4? And you're 6 in the league, and you're not signed to a team?
Right. No, so he had every capability. He had every capability of performing his job.
Yeah.
He did better than most of the teams, right?
Yeah.
Better than most of the teams.
Yeah.
But he wasn't getting picked up, and he was being blackballed.
Yep.
And in that case, he came forward and proceeded with the case.
Yep.
Right? My thing about not winning is that
That's him saying that.
there
again,
were
by the way.
emails. I know there must have been. And
Yeah,
there was a lot
with
of
owners.
stuff that should have been exposed.
Yeah.
And by settling,
That's a good point.
he took the money, and that is all gone.
Okay, so there's a yay and a nay to that. There's a yay and a nay. So this is, this is how I feel in that situation. He hasn't worked since 2016. Okay, so when you don't work, you don't get paid. You don't have money. He was getting, I think he was getting some endorsements with Nike, actually some halfway decent look. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, Kaepernick is an NFL quarterback that made it to the highest in fact, he went to the Super Bowl, which is the pinnacle of American football, right? Mm-hmm. He's got to love the sport. And to be blackballed in it, that's just wrong. There needs to be repercussions to that. And even though he's,
$80 million is nothing.
Yes.
To them.
To them.
Right?
Yeah, it's
to
small
the NFL.
change.
So, again, there's no repercussion, which is, for me, another tick why he lost. Because there's a point to all of this.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, there's a lot of people that believe that.
Am I to believe now, because if he took this money, am I to believe, like, look, Kaepernick, thank you for doing what you did and giving people courage to stand up, but if you had been that first string player and playing all the time and winning, would you have still knelt?
Well, I know. I can tell you this. There was talk of Kaepernick going to, I think, the Panthers. There was talk of him going to Tennessee. There was talk of him going, and they asked him specifically, if you're going to come to these teams, or if we're going to try you out and you make the tryouts of these teams, are you going to still kneel? And he said yes. And so they never even contemplated of him going on the team. So here's the thing with Kaepernick and his situation. And I always think of Ali, Muhammad Ali, right? I was too young to know Ali, but I'm very familiar with his story because I think he had an interesting story. During the height of Muhammad Ali's career, he was hated. In fact, just like Floyd Mayweather, Floyd kind of jumped on this bandwagon also, it's easier to fill seats if someone hates you than it is if they like you, right? They fall into that mantra. Muhammad Ali was famous for that.
To that drama.
To that drama, right? And Muhammad Ali was despised during his time because he didn't go to Vietnam. Oh my God, he didn't go to, he fought, he went to court, took the United States to court. I mean, he was very vilified. There was a lot, African Americans liked him, but there was a lot of white Americans, and white Americans are the predominant. If you can't get them on your side, it's hard to make money. So Muhammad Ali always used this thing of being combative, of just being spiteful, talking mess to opponents, and it would fill seats. And I think to that degree, Muhammad Ali won a lot of that situation. And I think a lot of this, think about it. Kaepernick started kneeling in 2016, right? To draw awareness to police brutality, the inequalities of African Americans. I personally think he succeeded in that. I do. I think he succeeded into at least focusing what the issues and what he was trying to, I think he's at his pinnacle of what he could do as an athlete. Do you understand what I'm saying? What more can he do?
Well,
he's not a politician.
There's still much more that he can do.
Give me an example. Give me one.
He could have kept going and exposing all of these things on how
in the NFL.
In the NFL,
that's a good point.
He could have kept.
Now that's a good
right?
point. I agree.
And I want to take back what I said earlier about lost. It's not that he lost; it's that he didn't win.
Yeah.
There's a difference too, right? So, the settlement is a settlement. You kind of I look at it as you're just throwing the case away.
Yeah.
You know, and he got what he got to throw the case away.
So what did the
versus doing
NFL
it
do
right.
for them to settle?
And so it's if he would have continued forward, right? 'Cause
Exposed.
he would have exposed, and if he was suing for $1 billion, I don't know the exact number, but if I heard $1 billion, I mean, even collecting 25% is still more than 80. So if he went all the way through the end, right? He could have probably gotten more, right? And exposed all of the stuff that had happened. I don't believe they had a seal on all these things. So a seal means that it would be, the public can't see it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we would have seen all.
So
all
you
these
think
possible.
Kaepernick went for the money?
Well, no. Well, I think in the end there
Maybe his lawyers were. Lawyers were asking for
will
money.
press for it. Yeah. I mean, the
They gotta
money-
get paid too.
Well, yeah. So the money was a big issue in it, and I think that a win for us, a win for
What is
America
exposed.
would have been exposing it.
Yeah,
and
that's a
doing
good
things.
point.
But
That's a good
today-
argument.
Today he gets to still carry through and now go back.
Yeah.
And see if a team's going to sign him, and a team, they're going to be people talking and owners and say, hey, someone's got to get him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone has to get him on. And so now the next question is what he can do is still continue to kneel. Because if he doesn't, then he's going to have to explain to us why he isn't kneeling anymore.
But I'm wondering if the lawsuit in itself keeps him out of the NFL. Does the settlement keep him out of the NFL?
I don't think the settlement will keep him out of the NFL.
No.
No, because
I'm wondering if
I don't. Well, it could. But
Do you know what I
doubt-
mean?
I doubt the settle. I mean,
So the problem goes away.
yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, it could. They could say, okay, you're done. You never, can come back to the NFL.
Because we can't see, right? Because it's under
But
seal.
I don't think it's under seal, and I don't believe he's going to. I don't think he would have took that. If he took that, then he cannot play.
Yeah. That's true because, he had the option to go to several teams. The Browns, I think, was one of them. Tennessee, Oklahoma. There were, not Oklahoma, but Tennessee and North Carolina. He had the option. He had the option of going to.
I think I even heard that they're still looking at him. To
Yeah,
go to North
there's
Carolina
some teams looking at him.
because Newton's shoulder's hurting.
Yeah.
And so that makes. He goes, and does he still take a knee? He still carries this forward for the community. I think it's very important. And
I heard, you know what I heard? I heard the Raiders need a quarterback.
no,
I heard Carr's gone.
No.
No? What? Oh, it ain't Oakland no more. What is it, Las Vegas Raiders now?
it was supposed to be Fresno Raiders, but anyways. No, but I think the things that I want to get clear too is what we were fighting for in this situation and where all the arguments happen on this, whether he should get paid or not. Because let's face it, NFL did lose a lot of money.
Yeah, they did.
Through what he did
On both
and
sides
their
of the
reaction.
argument,
Yes.
yeah.
And what he did and the reaction to it had lost a lot of folks. This is the worst Super Bowl in viewership ever. And it was a pretty darn boring game too.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Put me to sleep.
And it was the lowest watched. And we go back though to how all this started and what it was for.
Yep.
We get it clear that it's. You're a veteran.
Yeah.
And it's not an attack against veterans. And I understand. Look, honestly though, I still stand.
Yeah.
I stand.
Yeah, me too.
Okay? I still.
Yeah, I'm not I never supported the fact of him kneeling.
Right. So, but he can do what he wants, and I still stand. But I take my actions in my platform, which is right here.
Yeah.
This is our platform, right? This is our platform right here, and I will stand up for what is right here and advertise. And you guys are watching, and I appreciate it. And this is where I take it to because I have that capability to. Whether I do good or not, that's a different story. But this is where I take it. Yeah. And I feel that he can do what he wants, and that's where he takes his platform. But in no way, shape, or form do I ever have any disrespect for our veterans. In no way, shape, or form do I have any disrespect for our country. We live in the greatest country in America, and I would love to see
in the world.
In the world, sorry, it's America. No, I'm just in the world. But I would love to see, in all honesty, every single Democrat in Congress to doing things dim shout USA before we allow conservatives to do it.
Yeah.
I do believe in it. And
Take
we're
it back.
letting them hijack everything. USA, we should all be proud, and we are. And we cannot let it turn to a thing that stands, a USA to stand against the democracy that we believe in.
Yep. I agree.
We need to bring that back.
I agree.
We need to stand for the flag, to have the ability so that people can kneel when they are dissatisfied with the way the country is going.
And where
it's
they're
okay.
headed. To have disagreements.
we can have free speech to put unlimited amounts of money into campaigns. We can have free speech to take a kneel in there because it's not a part of the job.
It's not part of the job, and it's not part of the thing. They should be able to have that. Anyway, I appreciate everybody watching the Stephen Bobby Show. We touched on some few subjects today. We talked about political action committees, and we talked about
Ilhan Omar. We talked about everyone hating Trump. We talked about
in the world stage. Talked about Kaepernick. So anyway, I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Stephen Bobby Show. I hope you guys tune in next week. I will catch you guys on the rebound.